About a year ago, I did a video where I bought a gaming laptop from Costco, and I wasn't particularly impressed by the selection or the price, which obviously got Costco loyalists real mad. They came out of the woodwork saying, "Dawid, obviously you don't buy off a Costco online. You have to go in to the hallowed grounds that is a physical Costco store." Well, in today's video, I am outside a very noisy Costco, and I'm gonna buy a gaming thing. But first, today's video is sponsored by Corsair and their super exciting new HX Shift series of power supplies, which not only shifts the power connectors to the side of the power supply so you no longer have to cut your delicate little pawsies fisting your case's undercarriage, but they've also integrated an IQ Link hub straight into the power supply. This way, you don't need a bunch of external RGB hubs taking up space in the back of your case. It's genuinely a good idea, and if you're an oil baron, go buy one now using the link down below. Now, as far as I understand it, the Costco enthusiast's argument is that for you to get the deals that has turned Costco into North American Mecca, you have to go in-store. I was inundated with comments from people listing various electronic deals they've snagged at their local Costco. And considering that I live not too far from a Costco, I decided to go check out these miraculous deals for myself and see how they compare to the online Costco deals and other retailers. And I'm going to pick up a Costco dollar hot dog because I've also heard people raving about those. Oh, they have gaming monitors for 40 CAD. That's a good deal. A terrible joke. Oh yeah, quilted gaming chair, 200 CAD. Look at this bad boy. Got some good funnels for Cheeto dust. But aside from our gamer chair, Costco had a reasonable selection of TVs. And littered between most of the TVs with fairly standard pricing were a couple of pretty good deals. This 65-inch LG OLED, for example, selling for 400 Canadian dollars less than its current price from Best Buy. Holy printer ink. You could also buy 2 packs of monitors, which feels very on brand for Costco. But aside from that, the monitor selection was pretty butt cheeks, which was also the case for their in-store pre-built selection. We have a very exciting looking iBuy power system with a single stick of RGB RAM. That's very exciting. Although, one thing that is kind of crazy, it's 1,300 CAD for a system with a 14400F and a 5060 in it, which that is actually much better than I could find on Amazon. So yeah, maybe the loyalists were right. Having said that, you can find similarly priced RTX 5060 based systems on Best Buy's marketplace. Next to that, we have a higher end system. This also has a 5060 in it, but with a 14700F. And it's got dual channel RAM. Although I would definitely not buy this one because you're paying a lot more for a CPU upgrade that, unless you're video editing and stuff, probably isn't going to mean that much to you. But look, we've also got front ventilation, like a lot of it, and fans and stuff. I mean, this one, the other one, also has some air being pulled in from the side. And those two systems was their entire selection. Their gaming laptop selection was equally limited, so I decided to go with the one that said sale on it. At which point I was politely asked to stop filming, which was my cue to buy my gaming device and pick up some hot dog action. Just a quick note on the pricing. I paid 1,300 Canadian dollars for this laptop, and this exact deal was available online, so I technically didn't have to go into the Costco and could have picked from more than 2 gaming laptops, because it seems like the same deals also exist online, at least according to my sample size of 1, so make of that what you will.
20 minutes later.
Okay, so I've not only bought a laptop because it said sale on it, I also got a Costco hot dog, because apparently these are very exciting. I've never tried one, so let's give it a try. That was a mouthful. It's actually really good. It tastes like it's terrible for you, but it's delicious. If you eat one of these a day, you aren't making it past 65. There's like a intense processed flavor to it, which is super tasty, but you really can tell that this shit'll kill you. And not only do you get a hot dog for $1.50 Canadian, you are forced to get a bottle of water with it as well. So you can't like pay $1 for the hot dog and not get water. But yeah, anyway. That was my first time being inside a Costco, and it is a wildly overwhelming experience because it's this massive hall with just huge amounts of people with comically oversized carts that all have like 18 jugs of milk in them. It's like, what are you shopping for? The apocalypse? So yeah, anyway, let's get the laptop back to the office and test it. Yo, I don't know what's going on, but I've been burping up Costco hot dog all day. I just clearly have way too sensitive a constitution for sausage where you can see the seam on it. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. Let's talk about the laptop. Now, I've interacted with one of these Acer Nitros before from the previous generation, and it seems relatively unchanged. In fact, I realized while editing this video that I looked at the previous generation version of this laptop in the last Costco video, which is pretty funny. On the base, there is a lot of ventilation going on. You don't even have half of it plasticed out like you do on a lot of other laptops. I can also see a bunch of copper peeking through, which is all a good sign for our i7 and our RTX 5060 in here. I'm not sure what the exact specs of it are though, because, well, we weren't privy to that information in the Costco. And then on the right side, there's some more ventilation with I/O. I don't know if I love this ventilation here, because if you're gaming with it on a desk, it's gonna blow hot air onto your hand, and that might be a little bit uncomfortable. And as we know from my reaction to the hot dog, I apparently don't handle discomfort very well. And on the other side is a bunch of really good stuff. We've got full-size Ethernet, we've got HDMI, and a bunch of USB Type A ports. I like that. And then on the back, we don't have any other I/O, but we do have some more heatsink. I think this thing should run great temperature-wise, considering what I'm seeing here. I also want to see if it passes the one-hand open test. It does very well for a budget laptop. That's crazy. Wow, good job, Acer. We still don't have front-facing speakers, which is a bit of a bummer. But, you know, material-wise, it feels reasonably solid, if pretty plasticky. The keyboard also looks... It looks better than it feels to type on, but its layout seems reasonable. We've also got a numpad for the nerds. We also get a co-pilot button, which immediately sends shivers down my spine. However, look at that trackpad. It's huge with a lovely material. Often, I find the surface texture of trackpads aren't great. But this feels reasonable. It's good. In terms of the display, the bezels aren't super thin, but they look in proportion to me, and it gives us room for a webcam up here, which is much better than having it down here. So yeah, I mean, on first impressions, this seems pretty good. We also get a full HD 180Hz display with, I mean, the coating on it seems to be handling reflections and stuff pretty well. That is a relatively straightforward back to get off. But I mean, this is a good looking laptop interior. We've got a removable M.2 down here. We just have one slot, but at this price point, that's not a big issue, especially considering that we have upgradable RAM, but also 2 sticks straight out of the box. That is very good. I mean, honestly, I am at half mast looking at this base. That's cool. But with that, let's get back to the testing. And straight off the bat, the Windows install on this laptop is old enough for the old Shift F10 no internet setup trick to still work, which is good. But in standard Acer fashion, the laptop is still filled to the brim with venereal disease. Ooh, random pop-ups, my favorite. That's always exciting. Planet 9, what is that? This looks like a Temu YouTube feed. And after Googling Planet 9, it turns out it's some vague esports thing. However, there isn't really anything on the website which just straight up tells you what it's for, but I'm guessing it's like a esports training thing, maybe? Although it's not a great sign that one of the only Reddit threads about it is a bunch of people complaining about how it makes their Acer systems crash. But it's to be expected that the stock Windows install on an Acer device is about as clean as the mattress in a 2-star hotel in Reno. So the old wisdom still stands. Torch the Windows on whatever device you buy and replace it with a clean Windows install you made using Rufus. With that, let's find out the exact specs of this laptop. We have a 13620H in it, which is an interesting pairing for an RTX 5060, because I think it's like 2 generations old. But it should be fine. I think it should be able to hold up with our 5060 pretty well, especially with our 16 gigs of dual channel RAM. And when it comes to Cinebench performance, the CPU seems to hold up pretty well, especially when it comes to single core performance. Granted, I did run into the standard Intel short boost duration problem, so these results aren't representative of sustained long-term performance like gaming. But before we get to that, let's look at how the well-placed webcam holds up. I mean, we have like big soft lighting going on here, so it should look good. It seems to be struggling to deal with the exposure because like my skin tones look real washed out. That's not a good looking feed. I'm curious to see what it sounds like. But at least you'll be able to accurately see how terrible your webcam makes you look because the display measures really well. It's nice and color accurate and covers a basic color space, which is good for a high refresh rate display at this price point. With that, let's see how it handles gaming. Despite our pretty impressive looking cooling, it is noisy. There's a lot of sound going on. That is despite pretty low power draw. I mean, we've got 30 watts on the GPU and 30 watts on the CPU. Having said that, we're getting in the 60s in terms of temperatures, so they seem to be biasing the cooling system for lower temperatures. Now, in terms of the display, it is very responsive. It feels great to play CS2 on. You can feel the super high refresh rateness of it. But I will say, its motion rendering is pretty butt cheeks. Like when there's slower movement, it's okay. But when there's faster stuff going on, it starts getting pretty smeary. Which, if my blurry UFO test is anything to go by, is potentially a VA panel. Ew. I mean, it's definitely VA because IPS can barely get contrast above 1000. Now here we have Cyberpunk running at 1080p high settings, and before this bit, I did use the canned benchmark to compare the performance of performance mode and turbo. We're currently running in turbo, by the way. And in the canned benchmark, I got a little bit more frame rate in turbo mode. However, in the actual game, what is interesting is that our power draw on the GPU is lower than it was in the canned benchmark because we're getting closer to a CPU limitation here. A CPU limitation which might not have existed if we had a newer CPU in here, maybe. It is also very loud, and despite that, our temperatures aren't amazing. Okay, so Doom the Dark Ages is running pretty well. We have a slightly more ribbed frame time graph than I'm used to seeing in this game, but we're hovering around 60-ish frames per second, and it feels okay. Stalker 2 running at 1080p medium settings, with Fidelity FX running at native AA, so the laptop's actually having to run the game at 1080p, and it is okay. So with that, should you buy a laptop from Costco? Well, no, I would still recommend going to a specialty store like a Micro Center in the US or like Memory Express in Canada. They just have a much better selection. I mean, having said that though, if you go to a Costco every day to buy 800 liters of milk and you happen to see a laptop that you've been eyeing online on sale, then you may as well get it, but I wouldn't specifically go to one to buy a laptop. Which brings me to the end of the video. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. If you're a Costco loyalist, please don't throw flaming bags of poo at my doorstep again. It was really difficult to clean. And until the next video, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.